Greetings, all you Metamaniacs. This is TMoney G here with a clip from our live stream with GoodOl'Maurice and Empire fanboy KP67s with some rapid-fire 3v3 theory crafting. But first, I want to drop 10 salient points about 3 versus 3 from last night's theory crafting session. Number 1. Auto-taunters and pre-taunters are for defense. Tanks that use a turn to taunt are going to be a waste on defense and thus belong on offense in hand. You can imagine coming in with high DPS tunes, seeking that one attacker on the other team and taking them out before your tank has a chance to taunt. And no good. Number 2, look for faction synergies, but don't be married to them. For instance, where will Wampa and Hermit Yoda go? You're really looking at what types of characters you have in your roster, tanks, attackers, cleansers, dispellers, rather than just carving off the 3 central characters from a team, like Rey, BB-8, and R2, or the Triumvirate. Let your creativity fly here, and the world's your oyster, as we're all going to be confused and new in this game mode. The third is that speed leads will be essential. Tarkin, Admiral Akbar, even Mustache Lando. Break out those speed leads and get ahead of your opponent on both offense and defense. Number 4 is to look for key facilitator tunes to pile with speed to protect your squads on defense. An example of this is Kylo Ren, not unmasked, but the OG Kylo, who drives the motor of the First Order team with his AoE. The more speed you can get on him, the faster your First Order team will get a head start. Number 5, timeout teams are a full stop. No pun intended. We will have a full 5 minutes to fight still, even with 3 characters. Look instead for big damage and tanky, taunting tanks. Balance your offense and your defense. You cannot do this one off the cuff. Use your squad builder or map out a plan with a pen and paper. The bonuses for characters that go in alone will be diminished. However, you can still use characters like Nest and Wappa on offense to get additional points. Characters that cleanse and dispel will be essential, as well as those that control the match with debuffs. If you are facing taunting tanks, how are you going to get that buff off? Are you just going to deal with that tank the entire time? Imagine going into a match and having a taunting tank and no way to dispel it. Break out old leads and plan to use old school burst damage characters like Biggs and Wedge on offense. Alright, now onto the theory crafting, but first a pitch for our upcoming workshop on how to mod squads for Grand Arena. It's called Keystone Characters, and it deals with those facilitator characters like OG Kylo I was speaking about before. This workshop focuses on 10 characters that, when modded correctly, drive their factions as engines on offense or become brick walls on defense. It's a super important foundational part of Grand Arena and Territory Wars, and if you don't understand what I'm talking about, this workshop will be awesome for you. You have to be a patron at the Meta Breaker level to take this workshop, which is $10 a month. Alright, now on to the theory crafting. Here are some clips from our stream last night. The voices you hear are GoodOl'Maurice, my partner in crime, and KP67s, who is an Empire fanboy and a fantastic PvP player.
The core, right? Like the trio that you, it doesn't matter who the other 2 people are, as long as you have this trio that exists, they can beat whatever it is. So best example, right? Thrawn, Death Trooper, Magma Trooper, right? It doesn't matter who the other 2 people are. Those 3 are going to beat Traya squads, right? Yeah. So, you know, when you're thinking about an offensive thing, if you're worried, oh, maybe the other person's going to put the Triumvirate down, that's okay, because if you have Thrawn, Death Trooper, and Magma, you'll be fine.
Modded properly.
Yes, modded properly. Above all, well, that goes without saying. In GA, it's all about mods.
Is because mods are going to be far more important for this one than they are 5 versus 5. You don't have 2 additional characters to help you gain turn meter, debuff the opponent. You're not going to have 2 extra support characters to make up for the mod difference, if you will. Like, you can have a slower Revan because you have so many other characters that can get Grandmaster Yoda going. Like if you have a faster Revan in 3 versus 3 than the other Revan, you're going to have, I believe, to be a bigger advantage than you would in a 5 versus 5 environment. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
No, I agree with you. Like, when you look at those leads, like Revan's lead, for instance, right? He gives a bunch of bonuses per extra Jedi or Old Republic. So instead of going from 5, where you could have up to, say, 40% offense, 40% crit chance, 40 speed, now you're being pared down. You're getting pared down to like 20 speed, 20 offense, maybe less, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that Revan would be better on defense or offense now? Because if he's getting less bite, right? what's that going to mean? Is it going to be easier to take him down on defense versus not?
Okay.
Like, for instance, Tarkin, he grants 30 speed on his lead regardless. You don't need 5 Empire. He just gives you,
really good
if
point.
you're Empire, you have 30 speed. So now you have the potential to outspeed Revan easily. JTR BB-8 and R2 are all you need to gain 16% turn meter over top of Revan. So if Revan's losing speed, how much easier do you think it'll be to get JTR and BB-8 off the ground to just smash Revan in?
Yes, that's a good point. Actually, that's very important to think about. BB-8 and Rey are a lot faster than your Revan now, so that's a good point. Especially if you're not double dipping with that. If you're not going to use Bastila or Jolie, you're losing even more. So that's a great point. And you mentioned Tarkin. Those of you without mods, you guys are really gonna you guys might want to mod up Tarkin, Akbar, some of these speed leads, Lando Calrissian even, if you have to. I mean, just to get yourself a little bit more speed. That might be a good key to success.
Where the balance is, right? Because you can really easily overset defense, or you can easily have way more in your roster than you need. It's a big mistake to set cheese teams. I got 11 points short of a perfect score on my first match, and maybe, I don't know, 20 or so from a perfect score on my second. I might be overestimating.
But all your factions, KP's Empire, for instance, has tons of factions. The Bounty Hunters, for those of you guys that have really gone all in on the Bounty Hunter faction, you guys can pretty much field all your teams for one faction. That's incredible how good the Bounty Hunters are going to be for this particular game mode. You got a pretty decked out Bounty Hunter squad, yeah, KP?
Oh, no, I was just going to say, because they are going to be extremely versatile.
Yes.
And very adaptable. Even if your opponent puts out something where you're like, oh, crap, I need someone who stealths, Aurra Sing has you covered. Right? If you have someone where it's like, oh, they got a lot of tenacity, Zam Wessel or Cad Bane could have you covered, right? With the extra potency boosts. And on a 3v3, you stand a better chance at surviving, right? And again, think about those flat speed leaderships like Jango Fett. Jango Fett will give you 30 regardless. There's no strings attached to it. If you're a scoundrel, you're going to get 30 speed.
Absolutely. And I think there's the two factions. Every single bounty hunter has a lead, and every single Jedi has a lead. Right? So you're you don't always have to put in a lead, or you don't always have to fight, on offense or defense. But you're probably going to want to do that for the most part. So those are two factions that, are incredibly flexible, like you said. The only problem with bounty hunters is tanks, right? There's going to be two limiting factors within this game mode. One is leaderships, but you're going to be much, much more limited by tanks, by taunting tanks, and by auto-taunters, and by, what's the other taunting? Pre-taunters. Characters that have all of those things in one, like Bosk, is going to be the superstar of 3v3. He's a tank, he's a leader, and he's also essentially an attacker because of his all call to assist.
Well, if you guys are completely clueless on what to do in terms of team building, look through your whole roster. At every squad you build, like TMoney suggested, make a loadout. Make sure you have one tank or one taunt, one cleanse, and one dispel, and just go from there. Try to get them all in the same faction. Try to mix and match them. That you'll be good. Like it's going to be tough to suggest teams, like very specific teams, because KP kind of mentioned it's situational. Like if you come across a team. Like any of the nine bounty hunter leads you could choose from could be the best in that situation. Same with Rebels, they have tons of leadership. Empire, so I mean,
Empire's got so many leaderships.
Just that was my big issue with them for so long. Is this they all were leaders, and some of them just like Tarkin, for instance, just not. I don't know. Now we were talking prior to the stream. If you guys have tanks and they need to take a physical turn to taunt, they're not going to be very effective, I don't think, in this game mode on defense, because like we just mentioned, bring a dispel with you. You dispel Old Ben, and he just sits there, and now he's going to have to basically attack you for 3 turns for 2,000. He's worthless. He doesn't do anything, So try. I would think try to save your auto taunters, your pre taunters, and like Kenobi, Royal Guard, pre-taunters being like Shore Trooper, L3, huh?
The
Phase.
reactive taunts.
Phase.
Yeah. Phase 2,
Yeah,
Zalbar.
Because in 3 versus 3, you're gonna need every move that you can. You can't really afford to take turns off of dealing damage because to do buffs or of course some of them are way better than others, but like why you would use Pal's a good example, but I don't know why you do that. He's a terrible example actually, but he takes a full turn. He takes a full turn to give a buff and does nothing else. These characters are not going to. I don't think they're going to serve you very well in 3 versus 3. You need action. You need to take a turn. Like you can't be taunting the end. Like that's a waste in 3 versus 3. I think
a lot of really squishy tunes, a lot of like attackers, you're going to have to really think about how they can be protected on defense, because you don't have like a full squad to protect them. You can't have you can't have L3 and Zalbar. Like, no, they're not around to protect Mission. So are you going to put Zalbar, Mission, Kira together and just kind of hope that they don't bring in a high DPS tune to take down Mission before Zalbar can do anything about it? Because you don't have the pre-taunter with L3.
Well, we got like 6,000 questions. Which 3 Ewoks? Which 3 this? Which 3 that? For Ewoks, use all the Ewoks. You got a Tebow lead and you got a Chirpa lead. You can make them both work. How you do it is I don't know the Ewoks that well, but like First Order. We talk about Kylo Ren teams. You got Phasma. You got Phasma and a heck of a lot of offensive units in that First Order squad. You got both pilots, and you got First Order Executioner. If you'll have an issue, you probably want to keep it for offense, but Phasma with First Order Executioner is nasty. Pure nasty. Every time he basic attacks, he's going to stack that max health. And next thing you know, he's dropping 100k bombs on people. Like, Phasma is going to be very, very good for this game mode if you have her developed. I got AoE slow, which is going to be incredibly important. I think slow is going to be pretty important in this game mode.
Stuff on that.
Well, somebody asked about Night Sisters. That's another good one. This one might run long. You want me to just shut up?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The Night Sisters are very, very interesting. They also have 4 leaderships for 8 characters. So you could build 2 teams, potentially a third team with, a hybrid kind of like you could, and don't forget, Ahsoka Tano has a leadership that applies to Night Sisters as well.
That's true.
If she has a leadership, you can technically field 3 Night Sister teams if you want to use that atrocious leadership that she has. So that's an option. Talia has a leadership. For those that don't really pay attention, you shouldn't, because it's by far the worst of the 4. But you got Daka. Daka lead with health could be very interesting. You could do like a Daka lead with Barris type comp and just be incredibly annoying with that. You got Talzin Talzin's going to be nasty in this game mode. Talzin's going to be disgusting.
Who you can put Talzin, zombie with? Who gets zombie?
Talzin. I don't know.
I don't think Talzin would actually need zombie.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah. Yeah, because that would actually, because they'd have to kill 2 characters first. You'd almost lose the benefit of that leadership altogether.
Whereas you can take a weaker Night Sister squad and then you turn it from a 3-person team to essentially a 5-person team because you get 2 free revives.
Yeah. Maybe I'll run Talia lead with Night Sister Spirit, Night Sister Zombie. That'd be terrible. Nobody should run that. And then you have
Night Sister Spirit just annihilating everybody.
Yes.
But they're thrown off because they're like, oh, it's Talia. What's she gonna do?
Well, all joking aside, that could be incredibly difficult to defeat because Talia's leadership, Night Sister Galleons, they gain 16% evasion. Whenever they evade, they have a 50% chance to recover 5% of their mag. That's terrible. I thought I confessed to thinking it was going to be way better than that.
The bad bonus aside, like you already know that Night Sister Spirit gains a ton of foresight.
Yeah.
Right? The thing here is that we also have to take away. So I think you could also stratify leaderships into clutch leaderships and leaderships that just don't work if not all the pieces are there. Right?
Yeah.
So like how we pointed out with Revan, he needs a team assembled behind him to be OP. He needs 5 people. If you have 3 people, maybe you can make it work, but maybe you won't. Hera, another good example. All of Phoenix put together, yeah, they're tanky, they counter, they do a whole bunch of neat things. But now if you only have 3 slots, Hera takes up 1, who goes in the other 2? If you put 2 tanks, you can counter, but you're going to do no damage. If you put in attackers, you're going to do damage, but you're going to die pretty quickly because you can't counter. Right?
Well, because let's be real, Hera has, in my opinion, she's trash. She sucks. She is not a good character. Like her kit, she's got the revive-ish thing, but you call an ally to assist and you expose. Like for today's meta, that is not very. And the rest of them are cool. They have dynamic kits. They do daze. They counter. They do debuffs on their basic. They're doing protection up and cleansing and regenerating protection, and she's just
there.
Lame duck. That's the thing. You cannot afford a lame duck leadership in this.
Nope.
Whereas
so you really do have to look over your squads, and you really like if there's one takeaway, go read the kits.
Yeah.
Go read the kits. If you haven't read the kits, if you don't understand what they do, you are screwed.
The kits are really long.
It does. Like, you look at
But
Revan
yeah.
or 3PO and you're like, God, this is a novel. Like,
If
this
you're
is insane.
traveling this holiday season, maybe just, take some light reading material and some notes. What was I going to say?
A lot of people are suggesting GK lead with Xeris and Wampa. That's going to be a popular one. Yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you got enough Rebel tanks now. You could use Kanan. You could use Old Ben. You could use the Juani.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, the Scoundrel video that we just made, the purpose of that was to kind of create a template for us to do that with other factions. And it's what we like to do with our content is kind of have like a practical piece and a foundational kind of theoretical piece. And that Scoundrel video is a very good example of that. It basically, you start out with your leader, which is Kira, and then you choose between, characters with different traits. You need an attacker, you need a tank, and then there's kind of superfluous ones that maybe aren't, that you can change in and out. Maybe you want to have another attacker versus having a support character. You can kind of mix and match. So that video goes over that, and with using Scoundrels as an example. So you can do that with your roster, right? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but what I will do, because I am ridiculous, is I will take my little notebook that has all of my Territory Wars scratchings in it, and I'll put all of the leaders in kind of one. I'll just scramble all the leaders out, scramble all the tanks out, and I'll try to just like visually build them together. I might do that, or I might just build squad loadouts on the fly and then tweak them. But that's kind of what you're going to have to do. Is you're going to every defensive team is probably ideally going to have an auto-taunter or a pre-taunting tank. So all of those are going to have to go on defense, and then you're going to have to kind of fly by the seat of your pants more on offense and build squads that are really DPS based.
You got to look for those. You got to look for those characters which cover more than one role. So, GoodOl'Maurice, for instance, right? L3 will have that in spades, right? She's a tank. She cleanses. Yeah. She's really, really defensive.
She heals for massive amounts. A lot of people don't realize, if L3 is prepared, she's stacking 10% max health every time she does her basic attack. Her health pool gets ginormous, and this do not
let
crazy.
Her counter.
No, she might be the very best character for this game mode. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with her. I'm looking at her. She's priority. She's top 5. My initial thoughts for 3 vs 3. She's gonna be awesome. Yes. Shirt and Bays could be a real pain in the neck.
I was just thinking, who's their leader?
Jin.
Oh man, with all the buffs they put up,
just bore them to death on defense, maybe.
End of story.
Yeah.
Who else? Wedge and Biggs. Who's their third?
Okay. Pick somebody. Pick a rebel. You're done.
Colonel Carlos just makes a good point. Let's not forget Old Ben and Dooku leads.
Yeah.
Like makeshift leads that you don't even need to be faction like specific. You can just throw anybody behind it. Oh, the
Warrior.
evasion.
That point Warrior made on the RSG stream. Did you hear that?
No, I was too busy
dancing here.
So.
C-3PO and R2 under Old Ben with their dodge.
Like that would be annoying. Oh my goodness.
Don't have damage with 3v3,
but you just can't kill them.
Yeah.
I might do that just for fun. Dude, what a waste of the brand new character C-3PO.
All right, folks, if you've got this far, congratulations. You can listen to the rest of our stream at www.youtube.com/Operation Metaverse. And we stream every Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our stream this week was particularly long. We got on a little bit of a roll with the theory crafting. Usually we try and keep it to about an hour and 15 minutes. So I'll try and put some timestamps down below so you can jump to the point where I left off in this video and continue listening to that stream. Thank you in particular to KP67s, who is a good friend and a guildmate and a wonderful gamer, for all of his insights into this brand new game mode. Please also join our Discord server. You'll find that link in the description below. And consider becoming a patron of Operation Metaverse. We try and give lots of value to our patrons in practical advice, workshops, and content. We also have guild level patrons and very personalized patron support where we go over your roster and plan all of your territory wars and Grand Arena squads for you. Wouldn't that be nice? Have a great day, and we'll see you on the other side of the next meta.